Why not? We're gonna go live a minute early because why the frick not? Because we already were all hanging out for like 5 hours today. Might as well. Fear not. Fear not. Do not be alarmed. Tom shall be joining us, I'm sure, momentarily. So don't worry, even though y'all got your full serving of me today. It won't be for much longer. We're just rocking without our co-pilot. Fear not. We will have our co-host shortly. So, hello, y'all. Hope everybody's recharged, rejuvenated, got everything they needed to do done so that we can lock in for the next 5 hours tonight, because here we go, y'all. We have liftoff in T-minus 1 hour. We're gonna get after it. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back. After our brief little hiatus from earlier, if you were with us this afternoon for the 4 hours that freaking flew by, that we were just hanging, we were just prepping, we were just drinking some mysterious liquid that I forgot to replenish because I was going to show y'all that I have other colors, other flavors that aren't beer colored. But alas, you'll just have to take my word for it. Commander Jesse, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Glad we can catch you live. What the frick time is it for you? For you guys, wait, yeah, what? Aussies, hang on, no, it's in the future for you guys. You guys are in the future. Yeah. So it's actually, these episodes come out like evening time for you guys, right? Afternoon, evening. You guys get it nice. But we got Emery's, we got Sean, we got Chop again. Let's get it. Charlie, Brandon Dodge, what's up? Catching Z's once again. Jason Olsen, Matthew Tarpley, Lord Insidious, who's holding down the fort with the blood pudding as requested. Thank you. Patrick Kelly, what's up? My Queen Alice, Stanley's Chris, Joshua Bernard, let's go, gang. Shout out to everybody who's back. I think I said Emery's, but if not, double take, double the love. Thank you all so much for being here, for joining again, for hopping on. Sup, Andor Nation. Indeed, final night for Andor Nation. Jesus, okay, so we can finally lock in. Y'all, I've been swirling around. I did a quick little Twitter binge to see what everybody's saying, what everyone's feeling. And apparently, Tony Gilroy, I guess I must have blacked out during the live stream for natural reasons, understandably. If you know, you know. I must have blacked out during the live stream earlier today when he was hinting at, I guess somebody asked a question about what's next for Bix, and he allegedly said, haha, good luck. Like, he chuckled and said, good luck with that. So what the frick does that mean? That's ominous. But also, allegedly, episode 10, Charlie, I just saw you actually type this out in the early gang. Episode 10 is apparently crazy. What's in store? We got 66 viewers. What a perfect omen. But yes, what the frick could that mean? I feel like we have liftoff indeed, y'all. I think they're gonna just come out of the gate swinging and keep going. Epic hearing Tony saying that he saw your reactions for real, Chuck. That is crazy. I'm still frankly a little bit embarrassed, but you know what? I'm not. At first I was like, oh my god, not expecting that he would have seen that, and then the wave of, oh frick, reality set in that I cried my eyes out. If that's the reaction he saw episode 8, I was a bit of a mess. So, but at the same time, it's like, no, he deserves to see people, you know, that's got to be the craziest part. That definitely is one of the most wild parts, I'm sure, of, you know, being a performer or, you know, producer involved in any sort of crew or role or position production-wise when it comes to film and television, because you don't always get to see live reactions. You don't get to see everybody. You can probably just feel it in the force that you have simultaneously emotionally traumatized every single member of the Star Wars fandom, but you don't get to necessarily see it all the time. So at first I had embarrassment. I was like, oh my god, no, he saw me sniffling and sobbing and crying, but then, like, no, he deserves to see what he has wreaked, the havoc that he has inflicted upon all of us. Or, you know, just the emotions and appreciation. He deserves to witness all that. So I'm honored that he has seen that video, and I hope he knows and feels the satisfaction of just the fulfillment, I guess, as a writer, knowing that you've moved people that much. Because I've never been moved like that in Star Wars. Johnny Papas, thanks for being here. I never saw this channel before season 8 and 9 reactions, and I cried like you did. Thank you. Well, thank you for sticking around after those. I appreciate it. Chuck says, from what we know, episode 10, we're going to potentially learn more about Luthen and Clea's origin and connect. Oh, frick. Okay. Interesting. Okay, Larius Edits confirms he was saying good luck to Audra. Oh, because she was asked to say what she wanted for Vix's ending without saying any spoilers. Oh, so he was saying, like, oh, good luck as in sharing any further details without spoiling. Okay, so that's not necessarily ominous. Phew. That would be, I was going to say good luck in terms of her future. That's a little bit nerve-wracking. Good luck divulging much without spoiling is a bit of a different story. Phew. Okay, that changes things. All right, now I'm not as petrified because I saw some people tweeting like, Tony Gilroy said good luck about Bix, she's gonna die. And I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I'd be shocked if they were to send her away just to bring her back to... So, anything's possible. Anything could happen. Isn't that an Ellie Goulding song? Anything can happen. That's the theme song for the next freaking 3 hours, y'all. Or, yeah, whatever it turns out to be, whatever the runtime turns out to be, starting in T-1 hour at 6 p.m. Pacific. I can't believe this is the last night of Andor. Literally, JD Conti, literally. Chris Smith says, I'm wondering if this arc will be very sad or hopeful and optimistic. Well, I was on the hopeful/optimistic train, Chris. And then everybody this afternoon was whipping me back into shape with the cold, hard hands of reality shaking me. Like, don't be so naive. So I'm thinking, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to brace for the worst, hope for the best. Like, I feel like it has to end on a little bit of an optimistic tone. Like, because they're not necessarily in total shambles heading, that we know of. You know, they're not entirely in shambles heading into Rogue One. Like, they're ready to get their head in the game locked in. They're like, we gotta go freaking get jailbreak Jin and get this ball rolling. So they're ready to freaking make power moves. So I feel like that has to mean they're not totally wiped out. Is this a live watch? Unfortunately not. Unfortunately, maybe in the future I will do some of those, like I've done with member-only streams in the past when we've done reactions. But for now, we just pregame from here until 6 p.m. Episodes drop, and then we will part ways. I'll see y'all on the other side, and I'm going to film my reactions separately. But that would be fun potentially to do in the future, live reactions. But yeah, this... we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of going in... I think I'm not in the right headspace right now because my attitude is like, well, episode 8 and 9 were some of the craziest, most harrowing things I've ever seen. Surely... what are they going to do to top that, you know? Like, so that's why I'm like, I'm scared. I am scared. Eric asking, what am I drinking for this finale? More flavored water, y'all, I promise. The pregame was not literal, I swear. I did go back and watch that footage stuff from the stream, and it really actually did look like something else. So that's on me. Can't wait, I'm here. Talking... Oh, never mind. I'm not going to finish reading that. I think Urban Dictionary would tell me to not finish reading that. Sorry. I almost fell for that. Pretty sure the only base on Scarif was destroyed, but I could be wrong. Oh yeah, Scarif is toast. Scarif is toast, and that's why I'm like, I think tonight is obviously the mission at hand is how are they going to get wind that the Empire's building a weapon? Probably Lonnie. Hang on, I'm so stupid. I was asking those texts earlier. So... Whoa! Jesus Christ!
What's
I
up,
just
everybody?
screamed into the microphone.
Finale day.
Oh!
We are here, and it's more than a finale day. Had the greatest live stream in live stream history earlier today on the Star Wars YouTube channel.
I think you just flew.
Did you guys like that that cameo from Miss LaSalle here? I haven't seen it yet. I have not watched it yet. I missed it because of work.
He has a real life job.
But I have to watch it. I gotta go back and watch it. I know the highlights. I know the highlights. Sick lid.
I imagine that one's for Tom for that entrance. You literally just had a Chris Angel moment and just levitated, I swear.
I know, I was in the air for like 10 seconds, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah. How you guys doing? Sorry I'm late. I haven't been late in a while, but I'm late today. Bad day to be late.
take over from here. Share your thoughts. Share your thoughts. They've heard from me. We were going for almost 4 hours today. So I think one thing that I made mental note for you to remark on is the fact that when I streamed earlier, we were doing some polls to see who survives, who lives. Everyone's in agreement that pretty much everyone dies except for Clea. Remind me on, was it Clea or Vel who people think they have good chances of survival?
Clea and Vel living?
Go for it.
Clea is done. Completely done. And I say that with confidence because there is the trailer, there's the clip in the trailer with Dedra holding someone at gunpoint in their prop shop. So either Luthen is in there and Dedra's gonna axe, or they axe Dedra. I don't know. But
that could be a misdirect.
The jig is up. The jig is up. And either Dedra or Luthen or Clea are dying in that shop. I don't know. I think for them to go full rebellion, their Luthen and Clea operation has to cease because Luthen's planted the seeds of, I'm not joining them. I can't join them. I've got other things to do.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to want to set the tone of the rebellion being the last hope is that Luthen's operations are dead. They're done. All the eggs are in the baskets of the rebellion. I think that's what they're going to want to set up. So Clea's done. Luthen's done. Dedra's done. Vel, I mean, she's there. Vel is literally there.
You're making people mad.
On Yavin.
Clea is too cool to die.
So
no, Clea lives.
I think that Vel goes on whatever mission is going to happen, and Vel dies. So it's just Cassian, Melshi, and K2.
And Bix, as far as we know.
And Bix.
As far as we know.
And Bix. I think we'll get a Bix.
Well, that was the other
ending.
That was the other primary conversation of this afternoon's stream. What do you think about an end credit scene? If there is an post credit scene like we got from season 1, which was the reveal of the Death Star. And I know you are pretty steadfast that you think that this show is going to bleed into Rogue One and not just end at the doorstep, but show the other characters simultaneously.
I think we're going to see. I think it's going to do. We said this in some Dork Discourse, but I think what's going to happen is it's going to weave in between the fabric of Rogue One, just like the Clone Wars finale weaves into Revenge of the Sith. I think we're going to get something like that. And probably not with Cassian, because we know Cassian's story. But, some of these other, periods where maybe Cassian's off on Jeddah. What's Mon Mothma cooking up? And if Clea and Vel and Luthen are still around, are they doing other things at the same time that Cassian and Jyn are out on Jeddah, or going to Edu, or going to Scarif, and the actual ending? What are those other characters up to? I think we could see some of that.
Yeah, that's fair. You make a good point, like how they did it with the Clone Wars finale. We see Ahsoka in the time frame, and we're like, all right, we can piece together what's happening from what we know in Revenge of the Sith. So it might be similar, where Cassian's no longer carrying the torch, but we can see others at work, or how their stories are wrapping up simultaneously.
Yep.
But yeah, everybody in this afternoon, again, if y'all were here this afternoon, shout out. We had the most viewers that we've ever had on a live stream. So thank you guys for being there. It was great. Everybody's got great Andor energy. It's like Christmas Day, y'all. It's exciting. Everybody, we're trying to savor this because it's going to be over in just a few hours.
I mean, even right now, got almost 100 concurrent viewers. I think the one this afternoon I saw peaked to 140.
It was a good time.
Crazy.
It was a good time, but they all had to freaking
hype.
Shake me back to reality, because I was trying to spin ways of how every single one of these characters could live, including Luthen. Because somebody dropped a great theory that all of the bad omens and foreshadowing are surrounding Luthen, and he, out of every character, is the one to openly, constantly say that he knows he's going to die. And that this is going to, he's not going to live to see tomorrow. But what if the irony is that all of his other, disciples die? Everybody else that he roped into this and hired and brought into this life.
Lonnie?
Well, yeah, people think
Lonnie's getting a brutal ending.
No.
Brutal. He's the reason that Mon got away. His team. It's going to go back to him. He's cooked.
He's probably the one who gives them the intel that they're building the Death Star. And what it is meant to do. Yeah. How else do they get that? Because I think they're going to discover tonight that it's what it actually is, a super weapon. Yeah. But they don't learn. Cassian
got that from Broken Arm Guy on the asteroid.
No, remember in the trailer, there's a clip of Clea saying it's a weapon. In the second trailer they released for this.
Was corroborating sources.
They learn that it's a weapon, but I don't think they learn that it's a planet killer. Yeah. That it can
planet killer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Chop says you were talking about your love of beer and blood pudding earlier?
Oh god, it was an afternoon. Shout out to whoever said it. Rebellions are built on blood pudding. Okay. I was drinking water because I was like, all right, I'm planning on going live, camping out. So I tried I tried a new flavor of the water drops that we have. And it was like an orangey yellow color. And on stream, it really looked like beer. Somebody was like, wow, are you drinking beer? I was like, y'all, it is not a literal pregame. And then we were talking about cereal, eating the cereal. And then somebody mentioned American breakfast being just candy. And I was like, fair. But when I went to Rome, everybody was...
bacon, grits, sausage.
When I went to Rome, everybody was eating just cigarettes and...
espresso
and croissants. And when I went to London, y'all have blood pudding. And so I educated everybody here. The poor American minds who don't know what blood pudding is. So that's we were there for we had 4 hours to go.
I mean, listen, if you sat here with a beer and blood pudding, it's Andor finale day. Ooh. Who's gonna beat you up? I would question the blood pudding more than the beer because what? But anyway.
Do you not know black pudding is Scottish? Yeah, do you not know what that is?
No, I know what it is.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, I would, if I walked in and you had beer and a plate of blood pudding, I'd be like,
next week, y'all.
I would immediately question that more than the beer.
Next week, next Tuesday, when we debrief from the finale, we're gonna need something to nurse our broken.
Cereal. We said we were gonna have cereal.
We learned what the cereal actually is that they use.
Did someone ask about that?
No, I googled it. This was all part of our conversation. We were deep diving. We were researching. Inside
information here. When Catherine was trying to decide what her question was for the Star Wars live stream, my immediate recommendation was you have to straight up ask Kyle if he loves cereal as much as cereal loves cereal. And why is it Crunch Berries? But that got vetoed. So that was not the question that Catherine asked in the stream. But that's one I genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
If cereal loves cereal as much as cereal loves cereal.
Sorry about that.
But that did not pass Catherine's test. So anyway.
If anyone wasn't broken after last week, you best bet they will be after this week. Daddy Josh. Like I said, y'all, I'm going to have the Kleenex ready. Just in case. Either way, however this goes down, I'm going to just be broken because this show's going to be out of our lives. I cannot believe it's already been, in ways it feels like it's been an eternity and it's only been 4 weeks. How is that simultaneously how this feels? Because there's so much to unpack with each of these episodes. Yeah. I feel like 1 week to ingest all 3 is not enough. Lonnie is a Ghani. Yeah, no, Hodor!
Hodor gets it. Lonnie is a Ghani.
From one sacrificed character to another.
Yep. Come on.
If anyone can predict it, it's Hodor. Yeah. I don't know. I can't believe Andor is leaving us already. For real. Luthen will go down in a blaze of glory, says Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be well deserved. I mean, he's foreshadowed it the whole time.
That's why I was trying to delude myself into thinking of all the people. Wouldn't it be tragic? He's the one who is orchestrating all of this, knowing and expecting that he's gonna die. But instead it's everybody else, his disciples.
The post-credits scene will be him cutting to him post Return of the Jedi. And he was pulling a Thanos and just sitting there on a farm with nothing because they've won. And then he takes his own life with a cocktail beverage of poison of some kind and kills himself.
Yeah, Luthen's gone, bro. Thinking Bix is a goner, says Peter. Now that's
That
bold.
would be.
That's bold.
That would be something.
But weren't there and you didn't watch it. But hearing Adra Arjona talk about, I feel like we haven't seen the last of Bix.
No.
Based on what she was saying. Now I really thought that
I joined the stream when she was on. I caught the end of it.
Oh, that's right.
So I did see some of the stuff that she was saying.
So you were getting the same vibe then.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
we're not. There's still more left
Yeah.
for her. But I really thought her parting goodbye with Cassian was the last that we would see of her, because I really don't think she's going to see Cassian ever
No,
again.
I think like Rebels, like the Rebels finale was cutting to these characters after Return of the Jedi. Who's to say they don't do the same here? They've won. Bix goes to find Cassian, discovers the truth. All right, this is going to get dark. But let's talk about Luthen cutting to after Return of the Jedi. He has nothing, so he decides to peacefully end his own life. Bix discovers that Cassian is dead and can't swallow it and realize she made a mistake. So then maybe she joins Luthen in that same escapade. Would they do that? No. I think that's probably a little too bleak.
A
little too bleak. But if we're talking about maximum gut punch, ultimate sacrifice, tragedy, and the cost of winning a war, I mean, it doesn't get much more heavy hitting than that. But that's incredibly dark.
Oh god, right.
Or would it be more dark if she shows up to find BMO and then BMO is dead?
Oh.
And he's a
no,
scrap
BMO
pile.
realistically probably already has.
Or BMO says, "Where's Cassian?" And
Where's
then Bix is,
Cassian?
Yeah, and then Bix can't handle it.
Oh.
And she has to tell him that Cassian's gone. And then BMO self-destructs.
No, I saw people theorize a while ago that Luthen probably had BMO deactivated. Shut down. Because he knew a lot.
Oh, he tied up the loose ends? Yeah.
Please, if there's one thing we know about Luthen, I don't know. I'm expecting a lot of surprises. I feel like all of us have our predictions, but even the way things have gone down, like even the things that have unfolded in this show that we knew were going to happen, like the Gorman massacre, everything was leading to that, and it still was tragic and so much more heightened and maximized and worse than I thought it was going to be. I feel like the same still... They have not rested their case yet. The same still remains for the final few episodes of... Alright, I feel like we have a general idea, especially now as we're inching closer to Rogue One. It's like, how much worse can it get? I'm already in the gutter.
It's funny you said that. I saw on X earlier, someone tweeted that exact thing. It's like, come on, how much worse could it get? And Star Wars responded,
LOL.
LOL.
I saw that too.
And that's it.
Freaked a lot of people
LOL.
out. I'm scared.
That Star Wars social media team...
They know how to stir the pot.
Swagman is stirring that pot.
They stir it up.
Pot. Stirring it, just like Mother's Day. Did you guys see that Mother's Day
call your
post
mom.
Star Wars tweeted out? It was
Edie. Who I learned, by the way, is the same height as me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that crazy? Because she looks so much shorter on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I look at her and I'm like, oh,
Cereal's
she's
probably pretty
so
tall.
short.
A lot of calcium.
He's 5'10".
Big. Oh, so I'm the same height. He's huge. He's massive. All that calcium.
That's true with all his cereal.
Yeah, those big bones. He's got.
And there's something special in that
bones.
blue milk. That blue milk in particular has the growth hormone cows. They get that from those space cows over on.
Yeah, the Octo space cows. That's where that milk comes from. Cereal Boy's been sucking on that Octo space cow teat for that bone enhanced calcium milk.
Couldn't save him in the end.
That's what you should have asked. Be like, does Cereal get his cereal milk from Luke's cows?
Does Coruscant import from Oct?
Yes. Or is the imported cereal milk that Cereal eats with his cereal from Luke's Sea Cow Space Farm on Octo?
Oh, God.
That's the question.
Ugh. Hopefully none of these people will be smoking skeletons like Owen and Baru are.
Confirmed.
I'm partial to green milk myself.
Yeah,
No, but
it
he's
was more
gone.
green milk. It was more green milk.
Green milk straight from the udder.
No.
God, what have we done?
No.
What have we done?
Sal, you bring up a great point about Galen. So we do have an official Edu mention. And I think it was in last week's suite of episodes. Someone mentioned Edu. It might have been Poltergeist mentioned Edu.
Poltergeist?
Yeah, whatever.
He did mention it.
It's something like Poltergeist. That guy, the ISB leader, Dedra boss. There was a mention of Edu.
Yeah.
And mentioning that, yeah, the team on Edu is behind and they need the calcite. They need the calcite. And so that's what's sparking this. We're now going a year later. But at this point, a year later, we're at the point where, like, they're done and they're testing it. And now it's Galen's plan is complete. And now he's sending out the pilot. And with the message.
No, somebody was suggesting earlier in the chat that maybe Bodhi makes an appearance or cameo in these episodes.
Bodhi.
Listen, I would not be surprised if they have been quiet and were able to successfully, keep it secret, keep it safe. If there are any overlapping, I really don't think it's out of the question to see Galen or so. And I was saying this afternoon, why else was Mads Mikkelsen at Star Wars Celebration? I mean, he's allowed to be there. Anyone's allowed to be there, I imagine, but I don't know. Yeah. Oh, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. Yes, Bodhi Rook could be potentially showing up, we will see. One thing, actually, that I do think I will put my money on, because I really have no predictions as to what the frick's going to happen, other than they somehow catch wind of what the Empire's actually planning. I think we do have to see what is the catalyst event that fully forces the rebellion to sever ties with Saw Gerrera to the point that he becomes such an extremist. I think something probably goes haywire.
I mean, we saw that there was some beef 2 sequences ago when he's, huffing gas. But, like, he was completely absent in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we didn't see him in any of the last year arc. So, yeah, what I would be surprised if they leave that severed ties to something to happen off screen. I think maybe we do. But then it's like, all right, if we're in Rogue One time frame, and Mon Mothma saying, "Oh, he's an extremist," we cut ties.
He probably already has done something.
I would think there's not enough time. If first episode, and
that's true.
Okay, that was breakfast. Saw executed someone in the street, and then for lunch, Mon Mothma's like, "Oh, he's an extremist." We probably need more time.
That's a good point.
Even though he's got people huffing gas and killing his own men 2 years ago.
I mean,
and Willman is now back with the Yavin crew. So it's like, is that enough? Is that enough time to
hinting that,
and then it is off screen?
Because at first I thought Willman was gonna stick it out with Saw.
No.
Like, oh my god, he's indoctrinating him, he's radicalizing him, he's gonna make him high. He is making him high, and that's how he's gonna rope him in. So the fact that we see Willman has actually made it to Yavin, it's like, okay, they let him go, or he left somehow. So Saw picked up some major injuries off screen. Yeah, or maybe it happened off screen at some point, perhaps. Zanetti. But yeah, that's a good point. Each of these arcs realistically has been the time span of maybe 48 hours to 3 days worth of time. Maybe even less than. So this is literally probably what could possibly be happening 2 days out from...
That's where this starts?
Rogue One.
2 days out?
No, I'm just imagining if this goes right to the tails of, right onto the doorstep of Rogue One, and each of the other arcs on average has been around 2 days or 48 hours worth of time, what could be going on?
The days are subjective to whatever planet and system you're in.
That's true.
You don't know. You don't know. But yeah, someone said talking about Rebels, and yeah, Saul does have a presence in Rebels, and he's stealing the giant kyber crystals, he's hunting that down. So we know that Saw in Rebels is trying to track down Death Star plans. He's onto something in Rebels, which is going to be before these episodes happen tonight. Also, Augie's talking about Bor Gullet. Yes, we need more Bor Gullet. More Bor Gullet. I hope we get Bor Gullet tonight.
No. They wouldn't give us
They've
more
got a
gold.
boar gullet on Edu to interrogate the scientists.
Oh, they don't mess around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we are
Maybe.
29. We're 31 minutes out. 31 minutes out. Luthen drinks himself to death with blue milk. Listen, I think Luthen is going to have a serious sacrificial moment. And if it is, he is the one to survive the madness, and he finally sees them win the war.
But
he's not going to know what to do with
dead.
himself. He's not going to know what to do with himself.
That's true.
Because he's doing something that he has basically fully committed to, and is like, it's death or we win.
This is it.
And if they win, then it's like, okay, what do I do? Farming? A man of your talent?
That's true. It's almost like he probably wants to die, because what is his life outside of this? I don't know. This is what he lives and breathes.
No, I mean, I think it would be more if his ties come to an end, ultimately, or what gets the intel of the Death Star existing, then that would be obviously impactful, and that would be great if that happened.
So you haven't completely shut down that.
What if he tries to go undercover himself to Edu to extract the pilot? The pilot doesn't get out by himself. The pilot doesn't defect on himself. But Luthen actually goes there.
If Bodhi was
extract
like
Bodhi.
If Bodhi was a plant of Luthen's,
the pilot.
He does have friends everywhere. I wouldn't be shocked if he had plants in Edu or whatnot to be reporting back. That could actually be a really interesting twist. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I guess Bodhi wouldn't necessarily know, because nobody knows who Luthen is. Those who've worked for him, they have no idea who he is. He remains a mystery to even them.
Yeah.
Beyond Cassian and Clea and obviously Vel and Cinta and whatnot. But so I don't know. There's so many possibilities. I think there's definitely surprises in store. I hope for some comedic relief with K2, but probably minimum compared to the traumatic emotional damage that we're gonna endure.
Yeah. I mean, was there any takeaways from Tony or Diego Luna or anyone else in the stream this afternoon?
He was really hyping up episode 10. You know, he's saying how they are well aware that they created something crazy with episodes 8 and 9, but that they're still excited about episode 10 too. Yeah. So I'm like, frick. And then there's still 2 after that. So what the heck is possibly up their sleeves? Do we see Saw at all in these last 3 episodes? That's what I'm trying to think. But you're right. You're onto something. If this is right up to Rogue One, it would have already happened by now. They would have already cut ties with him. So potentially, but maybe if we see him, he's probably already on Jeddah. Holy frick! Could we see Jeddah? Dang, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, if it's going up to Rogue One, I think an extraction mission to get Bodhi off of Edu actually makes sense. Because how is he just gonna leave? They'd want him to leave quiet, because if he's leaving loud, I don't think there's any way he's leaving loud and just doing what Cassian did at the beginning of the season and taking a ship and getting out of there. This is their most secret facility.
But we know that Galen's the one who sends Bodhi. Bodhi is sent by Galen. He doesn't go on his own. So, yeah, but I don't think there's any. Now that I'm thinking about it,
getting out of the facility.
So you think Luthen would have a role in helping to facilitate that?
Yeah.
I mean, he just kind of
sends him to Saw.
Galen sends him to Saw because Saw Gerrera is who raised Jin.
Yeah, so maybe Luthen's not involved.
That was in their will, their last will.
Maybe he's not involved.
I think that was entirely Galen, because they were all unaware. The rebels had no idea. They had no clue that anybody in there was on their side. My prediction is the ending scene is some kind of inspiring speech from Cassian. And they show a montage of Saw and Bix, etc. Frick. Star Wars fanatic.
Yeah.
You could be onto something.
I'm with you. I think the end is going to be whoever survives, seeing what they're up to after Return of the Jedi. And it's going to be bleak, I would think.
You know? Holy frick, something that could be full circle, beautiful, and tragic. If Cassian does make some sort of motivational group speech, or records it, for example, like Nemec did for him, and it was him listening to Nemec's manifesto that was addressed to him. He's like, I recorded this for you. That kind of rallied something in Cassian. If it was to be roles reversed and he has his own recording that we then later hear Bix listening to, or someone else, that could be kind of bittersweet, just with, the parallel of Nemec's manifesto. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking that we could end with Cassian being called to the meeting with Mon and Jin to go on their mission. Frick. Cassian is the messenger, though. Like, I don't know, but I don't think he's one necessarily for big... He hasn't yet been one for big speeches, so perhaps, his final transformation, we see him in the previous arc on Gorman. He kind of has to get this rebellious phase out of his system, and he's telling everybody left and right, I'm sick of being told what to do.
Yeah.
I am sick of taking orders and answering to others. I need to make my own choices. And so if we see him come fully into his final form, come into his own, embrace this leadership role, then I think that could, because he's kind of like a show don't tell. He's very to the point, very, Mon says, how can I thank you? He just cuts to the quick, make it worth it. He's a man of, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting, though, especially also that could be heart-wrenching because of, that Marva. She had her own rallying speech, so if he was to follow in similar footsteps.
I mean, everyone's had a monologue. This is the monologue show.
Yeah, true.
So why not give him one? And Marvel asked a great question, and we haven't talked about this at all. Is Felicity Jones going to show up in these final 3 episodes?
I don't know.
If we're talking about Mads Mikkelsen and Galen,
they would probably mention her.
Is Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones showing up?
If anything, she's not going to show up because they haven't gotten her. They didn't stage their jailbreak yet. If anything, we could see them flicking through like holograms or like the jail records of how they find her, and they're like, "Oh, she's in this."
They go to Wobani.
She's in this prison block. Yeah.
Because we just all we see is like the seconds of them. We don't even see them show up. They're just on this Imperial prison.
And Melshi is actually the one on that mission, so we could see them like briefing Melshi of like he's the one who leads the whole jailbreak.
Because Cassian's not there. Because Cassian's not there.
Yeah, it's Melshi and K2 actually.
Yeah.
So, what was Cassian doing during all of that? Oh wait, no, he was off doing. He was shooting the guy.
Yeah, he was on Kafrene.
He was shooting the guy.
Harassing the disabled.
I think we'll see Jyn, says Daddy Josh. She's in prison. She is. I don't think we will see Felicity, but we could see like a hologram or her mugshot that they look up in the records of like, this is who your target is. To go get, to retrieve her.
Yeah, because we kind of see her whole story because they get her, and then they go to Jeddah, and then they go to Edu, and then they go back to Yavin, and then they go to Scarif. So we see like Jin's whole arc from time of rescue through her and Cassian have a nice picnic on the beach.
Oh, God.
So if we're going to see her, if they're like scouting her,
see you, Sal. Enjoy the episode.
They're scouting her, like if there's a, it would be cool if they were like inside her at the prison and they're like watching her and they're like watching her movements, watching when they move her around, and it's like one of her guards like undercover or something, and it's like, all right, we see infiltration and insider espionage within the Wobani prison camp.
They would have had to know
and
what was
Jin's
the
what's her
transfer schedule. Yeah, exactly. She was in the process of being transferred. How else would they have known?
Yeah. So if like their inside job and K2 and Melshi or whoever go undercover, or Cassian goes undercover, is watching her, and then he sends in the extraction team, and then he goes to Kafrene. Could be something like that, and then we would see Jyn like in prison. Imprisonment.
Maybe.
In prison,
that would be a very well kept secret.
Yeah. Would be. I mean, they kept Vader in Rogue One at the end. Speaking of Vader, Tony Gilroy has said there's no Palpatine, there's no Vader, there's no lightsabers, there's no nothing. But they said the same thing about Rogue One. And what we do
They
know,
can't be trusted.
we do know they can't be trusted for a great reason. And we do know that there is no, that the rebellion and the galaxy at this point in time, where we're going to be at in this episode, Vader's like a household name. Like
I mean, the rebels know who
they
he
know.
is.
Yes, they know who Vader is, even though it's a little contradictory because one of the dudes trapped in the hallway in Rogue One says like it's a Jedi, like he yells that out, and so like clearly that guy's confused.
Maybe the
but,
higher
like,
ups
yeah,
know who he is.
Perhaps maybe it's just the higher ups, the mere new recruits don't know who he is, but they're protecting them because they're like, oh, if you ever see this guy, you're not going to live to see another 30 seconds anyway. So like, we're not going to instill that fear in you. We're going to keep you optimistic. And then these poor guys are just trapped in the hallway because the door malfunctions or Vader shuts it with the Force, whatever he does. And then they're like, wow, we're literally about to die in the next minute and there's nothing we can do. So maybe that was a smart tactic to not brief the
not
newer
let them know what
recruits
they were in
on
for.
the potential worst case scenario that they could find themselves in.
Otherwise,
what's
nobody
the
would
worst that
go.
could happen? You could die, you could get shot, you could blow up. No, the literal worst that could happen is you get trapped in a hallway with Darth Vader, and you will be struck with fear and hopelessness, and you will get tortured to death. That is literally the worst that could happen. So those poor guys, they unfortunately met the complete end.
Mike Hill
But
actually
Vader-
makes a really good point. He was soaking him back though. By the time when we see
That was
Krennic
brief. Mike,
summon him.
those are just quick little sauna sessions. That's not like taking them completely out of commission. So I would think if Vader, so he's probably not going to be in it. I'm not trying to build up the hype. Alice, I think you called out. Tony might be watching right now. Tony, if you're watching, I'm not trying to. Vader doesn't need to be in it. So if he's not in it, Tony, if you're watching, totally okay with that, comfortable with that. The show is fantastic already as it is. However, there are opportunities here to weave him in, and the way that he'd be woven in is the greater rebellion in this show thus far has not suffered any significant loss. The greater rebellion, there has been individual sacrifice and sacrifice from the individual sects and different groups and certain individuals, but the greater rebellion, there has not been a like significant fear and setback for them so far in the show.
Yeah, we see it on the individual scale.
Yes. So on the mass scale, if you want to emphasize that, all right, it's getting real. I think Luthen and Clea, their rebellion intelligence group comes to their end. It's all about the rebels, and then the rebels go on this daring mission of whatever, and the top enforcer of the Empire shows up and slaughters most of them. That'll be a serious setback. And in Rogue One, they're so hesitant and reluctant to send any military support to Scarif, even though they know that's what needs to be done, because they don't have enough numbers.
Too thin.
They're spread too thin. They still need to gather more forces.
They are so desperate that Mon's whispering to Bail, "Where's your friend Kenobi?"
Yes.
That you're.
Why
onto
would she need
something.
Kenobi unless there's someone that Kenobi needs and only Kenobi can solve? At this point, Kenobi's it. In their mind, there's no one else
Yeah, that's
who
like
can fight
the
this
backup
dude
of backup
who
plans.
just slaughtered all of their troops. It's like, hey, you tell me about this Jedi who happened to be a Jedi Master, sitting member of the Council, assuming he told him that Yoda is off doing whatever Dagobah craziness he's doing, not being of much help. Yoda, not doing too much. Apparently you're training Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan through the Force and how to become Force ghosts, which is important, and obviously we see the fruits of that labor. But in terms of actually contributing to the task at hand, Yoda, you haven't been doing much to help out. So assuming they only think that Obi-Wan is the only answer, why would she need to bring in Obi-Wan? Unless it's like, oh my God.
Desperate hour.
Yeah. But anyway. Is Vader going to show up? No, probably not.
Yeah, no.
Tony might send Vader after Tom. Yeah, Tony might send Vader to my.
But I do think potentially more likely a Jyn or so, maybe not appearance, but at least name drop. At least acknowledgement. I think there's got to be.
Of Jyn?
Of Jyn, yeah. Whether they're digging up her prison file, they find her mugshot, Milshi and K2 are sent out to go, scout, look for her, memorize the transport schedules, because how do they know she's being transported? How do they know which one she's on? You're right, they might have plants in the prisons or whatnot, who knows? But this is true. Maybe something freaking really bad does happen where they're in shambles after this, because their only other option is, holy frick, Bail, call up the Jedi that bring him out of retirement.
Also,
because
Bail
what else
knows
are we
about
doing?
Ahsoka too.
Yes.
Bail knows about Ahsoka.
He's the one who gets her in his fulcrum.
Yeah.
She was off doing her own thing, and he's like, we could really use you. And
that's
so
true. We don't have any idea what she's up to.
She became fulcrum because Bail, roped her in.
Yeah, that's true.
Mitch Benny, thank you for being here. I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation. Thank you all. We have not had this many people watching on a Tuesday in a hot minute, if ever. So I'd love to see that the Andor hype is real.
Yep.
And it's going to be freaking unfortunately over in a mere few hours. We got 15 minutes, less than 14 minutes to go. So I think we will see Saw attacking, shipments on Jeddah, which is mentioned in Rogue One. Seaworks, you can be onto something. I know, and also they were alluding we're not done with Krennic, so like something.
Director Krennic.
There could actually be so much freaking more in store tonight. Jeez. Oh, Matthew Tarpley. What a deep cut from the other week.
And now Palpatine. Yes. I think the odds of Palpatine have dropped dramatically. If Palpatine was going to show up,
no, he doesn't.
He would be on the receiving end of Mon Mothma's speech.
He doesn't
in the Senate chamber. But you and I were talking about this, and I don't know if it was on Dork Discourse or if it was just the two of us talking, as we do. But if Palpatine was in that scene of Mon Mothma's speech, I think it would have been, the audience would have been about Palpatine's reaction versus the emphasizing the importance of Mon Mothma's words in that moment. I think the audience would have been more fixated, like, okay, great, Mon just said that. Now show us Palpatine. What does Palpatine think about that? So by him not being there and us not seeing his immediate reaction, I think it holds more weight to Mon Mothma's and ultimately Genevieve O'Reilly's delivery in that moment of that speech. Now, if Palpatine was going to show up in the show, having it be that moment where she tells him to his face that he is a monster and that he's a genocidal freak and that he is going to kill us all, and we don't see him at all. We just see like his figure, and then as soon as she delivers that, it just like cuts to a close-up of his face, like just completely deadpanned, just like staring at her. And then he hears all the other senators like booing her, and then he smirks. Like, I mean, that would have been.
But even now, even hearing you say that, it's like.
But it wasn't needed.
She wouldn't have been able to even get those words out if he was there, and they have done such a good job.
Why not?
Because he would have had her literally killed on sight.
No.
Yeah, she would have been terrible. What do we know? Mon Mothma and Genevieve's performance.
If he kills her on sight, then everything she just said was true.
Genevieve's performance. She has single-handedly, amongst others in this show, but she has had quite a lot of allusions to the Emperor Palpatine. She's mentioned him a lot more than other people via her dialogue. And in her delivery, every time you hear her voice drop, you hear the fear, the clutch that he has on her, you see it in her eyes. Yeah. She conveys with just her performance and the mere mention of his name, the deadly fear that she has for him. So I don't think she would have been able to say any of that if he was actually in the room. And I think it's more foreboding and just horrific and frankly true to real life that, the threat he's lingering in his office, one of
his many.
He has his dominions and his disciples run everything for him. He's the real
He's probably
chokehold
on
of the
Exegol.
galaxy.
That's probably why he's not there.
Yeah, frankly.
He's on Exegol.
And it's more horrifying knowing that he's just sitting in his chair somewhere, and with the push of a button, quick message into a microphone, he can just say, kill her, arrest her, freaking get her.
In the Bad Batch, he could have just killed whoever for
Rampart?
exposing Yeah.
He needed Rampart to be
He used it to sway the Senate's perception of him, and like, oh my god, yeah, he's right.
10 minutes, holy shit.
So
Holy
in this moment, I think it would give Mon Mothma more, like, it would give her more props, and if she's willing to sit there and say that, even though she's shaking straight to his face, that's like,
she knows he's listening though.
Yeah, I know.
He's 1,000%.
But to your point, like, she definitely was like it was emotional for her to say that and to convey that, and it took a lot of courage. But the level of courage it would take to sit there and say it straight to his face immediately after it happened, I mean, that would take that to another level. But from the audience perspective, then you'd be like, oh my god, like, it's Palpatine. Like, it would be less, there would be some of that attention put on him versus on Mon. So I get why Tony said, like, yeah, it's too big of a piece of meat for him to chew on and put in the show.
Time to get the TV on, y'all. Everyone's getting locked in. Cheapskate coins, thanks for popping in.
10 minutes.
Holy frick, oh my god, it's real, it's happening. I cannot believe y'all. How has this past 4 weeks already flown the frick by? This is our last Dork Discourse to pregame. Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you so much, Brian. In our stream this afternoon, I was discussing cosplay ideas, and I'm gonna bleach my hair and be Dedra, and you can be Cyril with the beret. And
can I have cereal?
If we don't make Borgullet happen, which Chopper already volunteered to be on slime duty.
Yeah. Oh, slime duty. That's good. We do need a slime.
Yeah, so Chopper's got that covered. But if we can't make it work, that's our backup plan. We're gonna do Dedra.
Good idea.
So
good call, Brian.
When does it start? It starts in freaking 9 minutes. It drops in 9 minutes. VQ Games, get freaking ready.
Yep.
Got my Disney Plus up too. Yeah, for some of y'all, if you refresh, they drop at different times. Sometimes they drop it a few minutes early, so we will see. But we'll end this poll here. We'll conclude our final Andor poll for now. Most of y'all think no, there won't be a Jyn appearance, which is fine. Listen, whatever the frick happens.
I think there is. I think she is. To have this whole show about the build up to Rogue One and have the lead protagonist of Rogue One not.
I think there's at least Jyn Erso mention.
I think
Jyn Erso name drop, or we see like her mugshot because they're going through the system to try to look at, okay, where the frick could she be?
Yeah, I think she's in.
Or they have some communication with. Well, no, they've cut off all communication with. He doesn't let them really know. No, they know that a pilot defected and went to Saw Gerrera, so I imagine Saw reports that at least back to them. In the midst of whatever feuding they might be doing, they somehow get wind of that information. So, do you wear wigs? Oh my god! Drops in 2 minutes. Holy shiz! Holy shiz! You deserve the shout out from Tony. Literally, I cannot believe it. And I cannot believe of all reactions that he's seen. I mean, if he saw freaking last week, episode 8, that's crazy. Steve, thanks for being here. 60K stream was insane. It was great preparation. Thank you for being there. I'm glad you enjoyed. It was great preparation. We went for 5 hours this weekend, over 5 hours, and then we went for like 4 hours tonight. So y'all, maybe my stamina's back. Maybe the old OG Cat LaSalle 4-hour plus streams are back, because we have not done one in a hot freaking minute. So we are just on cloud 9. There's so much to celebrate, so much to be grateful for. Catching Z's, let's go. This was my first Dork Discourse, and I'm so happy to be here. None of my friends are Star Wars fans, so I feel like I found my people. Good luck, everyone.
Catching Z's.
That's so freaking awesome. That's so awesome.
Well, that's why we're here, because we don't have anybody who's nearly obsessed with Star Wars as we are, so we're hanging out with you guys. Yeah,
I was telling them all that our siblings all abandoned / bailed on us for Celebration. So as punishment, they have to come to Celebration 27, and they have to be part of the Borgullet cosplay.
They have to do it, and they have to think about all the logistics and put it together, and then you and I just get to wear it. So in terms of ranking likelihood of the cameos we've talked about, we've got Galen, Jyn, Palpatine, Vader.
Palpatine and Vader at the bottom.
I think Palpatine and Vader not happening. Last. I'll put Vader second to bottom. Jin second, Gala 1. Galen 1.
Raylo.
Galen 1, Jin 2, Vader 3, Palpatine 4.
I think Jin is most likely mentioned.
We talked about Bodhi too. So Bodhi I'd put at the same level. I'd put Bodhi at the same level as Jin.
I'm gonna go Jin, Galen, Bodhi, Vader, Palps. Palpatine, no way. Borgullet would be the biggest win of all of them.
Vader humbling the Imperial efforts would make sense in this final arc.
You mean the rebellion efforts?
What did I say?
Imperial.
Oh, no. He will be humbling the rebellion efforts and slaughtering a lot of them. That would, storyline wise, where they're at in this time frame of tonight's 3 episodes, it would make sense. Would it be a bit of a deviation? Perhaps, depending on how they set it up and what the scenario would be, then maybe.
Oh no.
But if it's a bunch of rebels or Saw's people or whoever are led to the slaughter, just like in season 1 when that group was led to the slaughter in the ISB, like it set up the trap and Luthen knew about it. Luthen knew about it and just let it happen. Like, what if it was something about that, like that we could see, and then Vel is on that mission and anyway. It could make sense, but are they going to do it? Maybe not. If they do it, and Tony, if you're watching, you are a devious dog for keeping that under your tunic and not letting that out.
Best outcome is Bix and Willman will survive. Yeah, if my money's on anything, it's that Bix is going to be okay. I think so.
And Charlie, I forgot. You're right. Number 1 is Mace Windu.
Oh, somebody said earlier, somebody said in my afternoon stream, because there were all these wild theories about what is the post-credit scene going to be.
Luthen takes off his mask, and it's Mace Windu.
Somebody said final end credit scene is Mace Windu in a bar on Coruscant having a drink. So
why else would Samuel Jackson have shown up to the Revenge of the Sith premiere if he was not actively in Star Wars right now?
Listen, whatever happens, this show doesn't need any cameos. This finale is gonna about to rock our world, so we got 4 minutes left, y'all. So some of y'all probably, if you refresh your Disney Plus, the episode might have already dropped for you. I'm kind of curious. We're never lucky enough to be in like where it drops. We're only 3 minutes out now, so maybe. Holy frick, my heart's pounding. Oh my god, I'm really freaking nervous. God dang it.
Yeah, so am I. I am nervous because I think that they've got some serious surprises in store.
Okay, it has not yet dropped for us.
I think they've got some serious surprises in store for us on how they wrap this up. And yeah,
I know.
I think that the reality is that all of those people showing up that we just talked about, the reality is that none of those characters could show up, and this will still be, I think, an incredibly well done ending to this series. Because the whole show has been focusing on this handful of characters and their individual stories and how it fits into the greater politics of the Empire and the politics of the Rebellion and inner workings of both and the toll that that's taken on all these individuals. So they're, at the very least, going to continue that thread, and it's going to hit hard. It's going to hit hard and heavy, and Star Wars with that single response on Twitter, on X with the LOL, how can it be much worse? I mean, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. And we're going to get a fitting, satisfying, tragic end, and then immediately watch Rogue One and the sacrifice to get to Scarif and ultimately destroy the Death Star in A New Hope, and the Rebellion has officially
come to
light. It's going to be all the more satisfying after this.
Just repeatedly refreshing Disney Plus. Ours usually makes us wait, y'all. Ours usually, sometimes even after the 6 p.m. mark, it still doesn't come through. Because somebody just said, I hope the app doesn't crash. I freaking hope so, too. I think this is one of, if not the most anticipated finale drops in Star Wars. I cannot believe it. My heart's pounding.
I mean,
my heart is freaking pounding. Just because I'm nervous because we know They are not afraid to inflict damage emotionally and raise the stakes and take everybody out. I was saying that this afternoon. I was like, I went into Rogue One thinking not only these people aren't all gonna die, and within the span of 2 hours, they all die.
Right, they weren't. That's the workings of Mr. Gilroy.
Yep.
Speaking of Gilroy, that just reminded me of Gilmore, and I saw that the alligator from Happy Gilmore died today.
That's tragic.
Isn't that sad? I just saw that a little bit ago.
We had Shooter McGavin in our chat earlier. I should have given him a shout out.
Shooter?
Shooter McGavin.
Shooter was in the chat?
Shooter was there earlier.
No way.
I'm still refreshing y'all. Come on. Okay, it's 6 p.m. Refresh. Come on.
Where are they?
Come on. Holy frick. Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, God. Okay, I'm not gonna look. Okay, love y'all. Holy frick. See you guys on the other freaking side. Okay, have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., wherever you may be. Holy Godspeed, Jesus take the wheel. Let's freaking get it. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. See you guys in my reactions. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you all so much for showing up. This has been the best streams ever today. Seriously, we've never clocked numbers like this. I love you all so freaking much. May the force be with you guys. May the force be with us all tonight. We're gonna freaking need it.
Yep.
God have mercy on our souls.
Yep.
Tony Gilroy have mercy on our souls, and we'll see you guys later.
Enjoy, everybody. See you on the other side. No way. I had no clue that she made that, by the way. For the record, 0 clue. No clue at all. Incredible.